Hi everybody, welcome back. For this week's video, I decided to do something a little bit different. Now, there's this book called Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid that I decided I want to try reading. I know that this is a very popular book and the TV show just recently came out, so I decided, why not read the book and then watch the TV show to see if the TV show is any good. I know that in the book community, we tend to like the book rather than the adaptation, so I wonder if this case it'll be true. Daisy Jones and the Six is based off of this band that was popular in the 70s, and I know this is totally fictionalized, but it kind of feels like a play off of Fleetwood Mac and their popularity and kind of the drama that went on in that band. So I am deciding to give this book a chance and see if this is something that I would like. So far, all the books that I've read this year have not been 5-star reads for me. They've come very close. They've been kind of like 4 stars, close to that 5-star, but not quite there. So I think I read this kind of synopsis, the back of the blurb on the back of the book, and I feel like this is one that I might actually like. So here we go. I'm going to give this one a chance and see if this is a book that I might like. I will say that this book is kind of structured differently than your regular narrative. So this book is kind of told in interview like style. So I think each person that's in the band gets a chapter or something while they're being interviewed by the person that's writing the like biography of the band or whatever. So let me give this book a try, and like I mentioned, we'll see if this is something that I like. Okay, so I have an update for you guys. So I'm about 60% of the way done with this book. I am listening to it on audio. In my previous update, I did say that this book was done in like interview style, and that is something that I tend to like. And then while I was reading, I learned that the audiobook version of this book has a full cast of narrators, and there's a person that's like narrating for each of the band members and even people outside of the band. So I decided that was probably something that I like, just knowing my taste in audiobooks. So I'm reading the audiobook. That's how I know I'm 60% of the way done with it, because I've been reading it all day. And so far, I don't like it. I don't like it. And the thing is, I mentioned that this book is very popular, and I had to go on Goodreads to see how many ratings and reviews that this is on Goodreads. So this book has a 4.24 rating on Goodreads as of today, and that is very, very high for Goodreads. It does say that over 1 million people have reviewed this book. So that's a lot of people, and for everyone to be giving it like a really high rating, 4.25 is very high for a Goodreads book. It just means that a lot of people like this book, and over I think half or 45% of people gave this 5 stars. Even some of the booktubers that I follow gave this a pretty high rating, either 4 or 5 stars. And for me to sit here and be like, I really like it, I feel like I'm on the outs of this book. And I'll tell you why I don't like it. So we're introduced to Daisy Jones, and she is kind of described to us as, like when she's introduced, as kind of somebody that's pretty privileged. She grew up with wealth. Her dad's wealthy, and her mom has physical good looks, and so that was kind of passed down to her. Like the way that everybody describes Daisy in this book is like, she's tall, she's skinny, she's beautiful, everybody wants to be her, she's just too cool for school. And there's just something about the way the writing of this book that's giving me privileged girl vibes. It's giving me I'm damaged, but I don't really have a reason to be damaged. So the thing about Daisy is that she's kind of described to us as the cool girl, as the it girl, and that is just literally how everybody in this book is describing her, from the people in the band. So we start off, the band members are it starts off with Billy, Graham, Warren, Karen, Peter, and Eric, I want to say. Is that the name? I'll find out when I edit this. But I think that's everybody in the band. So like the Billy and Graham, they're brothers, and they formed the band when they were pretty young. So it's Graham, Billy, that kind of, they find Eric, Peter, Warren and Karen along the way of trying to like form this band, and then Daisy joins after. So Billy and his band, he's kind of like the leader of the band, and he brings them all together. He's a songwriter. He's kind of recognized as the leader of the band. And then Daisy joins on after because Daisy is pursuing her own music career since she comes out with, I think her album has already come out, and the producer or the band manager decides to put Billy and Daisy to sing this one song together, thinking that they would be like a good pairing. And that song kind of like takes off. It becomes really popular. And so then after that, they decide, hey, Daisy, you should join the band because you're a great singer, and we think that we see value of you joining this band. So she goes ahead and she does that. But the entire time, I'm only up to the point where they're recording the album Aurora. Kind of getting me iffy on this is that I feel like so far the book has kind of glorified drug use. In the beginning of this book, the author does kind of like tell us that Billy has had an issue with drug use, but he's gone to rehab and he's gotten sober, and Billy's married to his wife Camilla, and they have a couple of kids, and he's been pretty like dedicated sober for, I want to say like over a year, something around that. But anyway, that's beside the point. And then we have Daisy, who's currently like active and kind of using like hardcore drugs. And so Billy is trying to like stay away from that while also having her in the band. And everyone in the band knows that Daisy has just had some major issues with drug abuse, but it just feels like to me that no one is trying to look out for her, especially because everyone's just kind of describing her as kind of like this manic pixie dream girl, but with drug abuse. And I just don't know. I'm finding it really hard time being sympathetic to Daisy, because every time Daisy is around Billy, he kind of gets triggered with, his past issues with drug abuse, and he's trying really hard to stay sober for his wife and his kids, and just being around Daisy just doesn't seem like really healthy for him. And the other thing about this book is that it's giving cheating vibes, like hardcore. Like Daisy and Billy, obviously you could tell that the way that they're describing each other, that they like each other, even love each other, but the cheating vibes is just bad. Like Billy has a wife, he has 3 kids, and it seems like Daisy's relationship with Billy is really destructive for both of them. And I just don't know, guys. I just don't like it so far. I'm really having, I really empathize with Billy because he's trying to, really just do the right thing. And I'm having a really hard time even liking Daisy at all. And I don't know. I have to finish the book and see where I stand and see how the ending kind of goes. Maybe it'll change my mind about the book with the ending, but we'll just see about that. So I have finished Daisy Jones and the Six, and I gotta say this is sitting at a 2-star read for me. And the only reason I'm giving it 2 stars is because I like the audiobook version of this book. I think if I had read it just physically, I would not be giving it 2 stars. It'd be a 1-star book for me. And I have to say, because I looked up how many people have given this book 5 stars and how many people have given it 1 or 2 stars, we'll tell you. So it looks like on Goodreads, 2% of people that have read this book gave it 2 stars, and less than 1% of people who have read this book gave it 1 star. So I'm definitely the odd one out. I don't know. I just, like I said, even when this book ended, I didn't like it, because the ending of this book kind of just gave Billy and Daisy permission to be together, even though she's had some pretty bad issues with drugs, and she was kind of described as super selfish throughout the entirety of this book. And Billy is just the entire time just trying to do the right thing, kind of stay away and be dedicated to his wife and his kids and stuff. But Daisy is just, like I told you, she's got problems, and she's making zero effort to see a therapist, go to rehab, just do anything about her drug abuse and addiction issues. And now I'm gonna go watch the TV show, so I hope that the TV show is better than the book. If it's not, then I feel like I would have wasted my time with this experiment, And I'm really hoping that that's not the case, that I will at least like the TV show. And I do want to make a side note. So we are sitting in my apartment right now. You're probably wondering why the background is a little bit different. So we bought these bookshelves, and by we I mean me and my significant other. Him and I, we bought these bookshelves. We bought two. So there's this one and there's one on the other side of this room. And so these are all of my books right here. I don't have quite a lot, and if you can't tell, I'm sitting on the floor. So this is like the bottom of the bookshelf. And I hope to have some of this filled with books that I read this year that I didn't end up enjoying and I do like. So I'm the kind of person that I will buy a book either on, or not buy, sorry. I'm the kind of person that will get a book on audio or get it from my library. I like using the Libby app because that's free. All you need is a library card, and then I can listen to a book on audio, or I will get the book from the library, or if I feel like this is a book that I might like, I will get it on a Kindle. I actually prefer reading on my Kindle. I know that's kind of sacrilegious in the booktube community, but I do like my Kindle. I'm the kind of person that if I would spend like $25 on a really nice hardcover book and I end up not liking the book, like I'd rather pass away. Like that's just not something that I like. I have buyer's remorse, like hardcore in my soul. So that's just not something that I'm going to be doing. So I listened to Daisy Jones and the Six on audio off of the Libby app, and the audiobook couldn't save this one for me. I really just didn't like it. So we're just going to go and watch the TV show and hope that I like that a bit more than the book. I hope that they make some major changes to this. Otherwise, this would have been an entire waste of my time. That's all. That's all I have to say for right now. Sorry for lighting for this video for being all over the place, but I'm trying to record this all in one day. My tongue is also purple because we now have wine. We're one glass of wine in, but that's beside the point. I am now 4 or 5 episodes in to the Daisy Jones and the Six show, and they did make some major changes that I actually like. So Daisy is, the way that she's introduced to us, she does have all of the privilege of her family being wealthy, good looks, blah, 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 but she's coming off across a less insufferable and less I get whatever I want kind of vibes. Also, they changed up how Daisy joined the band. They changed up kind of like how the band started all together, and their kind of like relationship with each other inside the band. And so far, I'm liking this. We are getting to the point where Daisy is developing her drug addiction, but it kind of seems like it's starting off with more of a alcohol addiction, but she is also like slowly going down the road of being addicted to some hardcore drugs here. But I will say that the relationship between Daisy, Billy, Camilla, just like everyone in the band, is a lot better like fleshed out here than it was in the book or the audiobook that I listened to. It's still being done in this interview type style, but I like it better. I like it a lot better. There are some elements that stayed the same, such as Billy, how he kind of like met Camilla, sort of, how he got into his drug addiction, his alcoholism, and his time on that first tour that he went on. So there's some things that have changed the same, which I'm glad that they changed the same, and things that have been different that I'm glad is different. But like I said, so far I'm enjoying this a lot more than I enjoy the book, which is like, thank God. So like I said, we're about 5 episodes in, and we're just getting around the time when they're starting to record their first album as Daisy Jones and the Six, the Aurora album. I don't know if that's what they're gonna call that in the show, but I guess we will find out, and we will keep drinking wine, so who knows. My tongue might be a little bit more purple when we check in again. This is going to be my last update for today. The wine has not stopped. My tongue is still purple. Anyway, I'm now on to episode 7, and I hate it. And so the reason for that is because they've changed things up in the book from what was in the book to the wine is working real hard. They've changed things up in the show versus what was in the book. So here are some things that I don't like, and this is complete spoilers, so if you don't want to hear spoilers about the book or the TV show, I just skip to this part in the video. So in the book, Daisy and Billy do not actually kiss when they're recording Aurora, but in the TV show they do. And it just doesn't work for me. I think that, like I mentioned before, the cheating vibes are just out of this world, astronomical. Like, in the book, they didn't actually, like, physically cheat on each other, Billy and Camilla, or you know, Billy and Daisy. It's kind of implied in the book that maybe Camilla had dinner with a friend or a high school friend at some point, but like it was kind of implied, and they didn't like specifically say like, oh, she cheated with somebody else. But in the book, it just never happened. Like, Billy and Daisy just never ended up kissing, and in the TV show it does. And so this bothers me for a couple things. It bothers me because it feels like in the TV show, Billy manipulated Daisy into recording that one song. I can't remember what it was. The one song that was like meant to be kind of like rough around the edges, given her like vocals and stuff. It just seems like he manipulated her into singing that way in the TV show, when that never really happened in the book. And so the other thing that's getting me about the cheating vibes is that, and so the book is trying to convince us that Billy is supposed to be a character that we root for, and Daisy is supposed to be a character that we also root for. Like, we want her to get better, we want her to overcome her addiction. That's what the book is like telling us, and that's what the show is also telling us. But they're just two very unlikable people, and so adding their unlikability on top of the cheating that's happening is just making me not like the book. I've read books before where like cheating works. It's used as a plot, like a really good plot device, and you still root for these characters because they're meant to be unlikable. But Billy and Daisy are, you're meant to root for them, and you're meant to like them. And so just watching this whole thing unfold is just making me so upset. It's just not good. It's not good at all. And I just think that the only person that is redeemable in pretty much all of this is Camilla. But even the TV show is making us not root for her like the book did. And I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. We're meant to like these people, and neither the book or the TV show is like convincing me of that. Like, it's just not. It's just not. And so I kind of feel like I wasted my time, but I do have, I'm moving on to episode 7, so I do have 7, 8, 9, 10, I think 4 episodes left, so maybe I'm just holding on hope that something else is going to happen, and it's going to change my mind, and I'm going to end up liking the book and the TV show, or maybe not the book, just the TV show. I don't know, I just hope something happens towards the end that kind of just changes my mind, but it's just not looking good, besties. It's just not. And so we're just going to end this for today. I'm not going to end up finishing watching the last 4 episodes, obviously, because it's already, oh, my watch died. I think it's probably like already 9, 10 o'clock at night right now while I'm recording this update, but I think we're just done with this for right now. And I will continue watching the next 4 episodes tomorrow, and I'll give you an update sometime tomorrow. Welcome back, everybody. I have finished watching Daisy Jones and the Six, the TV series, and I have some thoughts here. Now, this is going to be my last update since I'm done watching the series and I finished the book, so we're just going to wrap it all up here and just close out my thoughts on this. And so I figured the best way to kind of close out my thoughts here is to go through each character one by one and just compare the book and the TV show and how I'm feeling about these characters. So in no particular order, let's just start with Eddie. Eddie is quite forgettable. He, in the book, he's not presented to us as anybody but a thorn in Billy's side, a thorn in the band's side, and it's kind of the same thing in the TV show. And so Eddie, his biggest sin is, like I said, is just being forgettable. So this is actually a character I think that the book and the TV show could have done without, quite honestly. Next character I want to talk about is Warren, and Warren is also very forgettable. I think I can't remember a single significant thing that Warren did in the book. Now, Warren in the show comes off as someone who is very much like, I want to be a rock star. I want to go out. I want to be partaking all the cool things that rock star does. I want to like have all this money, have all this fame. And again, like I mentioned, just like Eddie, this is also a very forgettable character. So the next person is Graham, which is Billy's brother. Now, Graham in the show, I feel like, is very much along the same lines of Graham in the TV show. I don't have any particular strong feelings about him, other than if you know what happened between him and Karen, then you kind of know that towards the end, Graham just kind of wore thin on me, and so I think he just didn't do really anything significant in the book or the TV show. I feel like even as I'm reviewing these characters, like everyone must have read a completely different book than I did, because the book that I read is significantly different than what was in the show, like just in kind of some major and minor ways. But book-wise, I feel like maybe I listened to a rough draft of the audiobook. Like, I feel like, did I get a wrong copy or something? Because everybody on the internet seemed to have read a completely different book than I did, because everyone out there is loving it. Like I mentioned before, on the Goodreads, more than half of the people that read this book gave it 4 or 5 stars, and I am just in the minority. I'm the odd one out here that is rating it 2 stars. Next, I want to talk about Karen. So Karen is a G. She's a baller. I mean, if I had to root for anyone in this book, in the band, it would be Karen, because Karen knew what she wanted. She went after what she wanted. I think maybe her biggest thing is like her not communicating with Graham, and where like she sees herself in the future in the band, and like where she sees herself like, 20 years down the road. But other than that, I feel like Karen always knew what she wanted. She was not a person to just like fuck around. She knew that she wanted to always be a rock and roll star, and she went after that. Now let's get into the more tougher topics, or tougher characters to review. Let's talk about Billy first. So Billy in the book, he's a more likable character. I'm not going to say like he's like one of the greatest characters that ever been written, because he's not. But Billy in the book, I feel more empathy towards. Like, I mean, Billy in the book still did cheat on his wife. He emotionally cheated on his wife. Billy in the show emotionally and physically cheated on his wife. So he's not a character that I was rooting for. Actually, I thought he was pretty much like a fuck up. And I really didn't like his character at all. I just feel like this is someone that's been given plenty of chances and just continues to screw up those chances. And I don't know. I did not like Bill at all. And if we get into Daisy is just as bad. Daisy is quite a terrible character. She's very selfish. She's like very narcissistic. Everything is always all about Daisy, and I feel like both the TV show and the book made Daisy out to be like the special, like snowflake type character. Like we should love her and root for her, but like in the end, I just kind of just felt like if I was Daisy's friend, I would have like looked after my own like mental health and my own self of like well-being emotionally and physically, and I would have just dropped Daisy like it's hot. Like I definitely would have tried to like help her and get her and talk to her to the right people for her drug and alcohol abuse. But at the end of the day, you can only help someone so far. You can't force someone to want to get better. That person has to want to get better for themselves. At the end of the day, this isn't a book that I necessarily would say that needed to be written. I consider this more of just like a fluff, like should have been a fun time kind of read. I think that the TV show wasn't necessary to be made. I mean, if they wanted to make a TV show about, a band and all the members in the band just not liking each other, then they should have done like a biopic of Fleetwood Mac. Like, like kind of like how they done biopic of Elton John and of Freddie Mercury. I think if this TV show didn't need to be made, I think that it's far more interesting to hear the real story of the real band, Fleetwood Mac, and the dramas that happened within that band, rather than to make a TV show about a fictional band. I just don't think that this is something that necessarily needed to be made. Like at the end of the day, this is one that's gonna stick as a true 2-star reading experience for me, and that's really unfortunate. I mean, I like I said, I did not like the show. I did not like the book. It's only been getting a 2 stars for me because the audiobook was pretty good and I was able to stomach it all the way through. But if you did like my review of Daisy Jones and the Six, the book and the TV show, then please like and subscribe because it really helps my channel. And I hope next week when I upload a new video, it'll be a better reading experience and I could walk away from at least one of these videos with a book that I like. We could only pray and hope that could happen in the future. But that's all I have to say. We're done with this for the day and I'm just going to put this away, and I hope you guys tune in next week for my next video.